So diving into open houses, I'm going to continue on here. We talked a little bit about, picking the right home. Obviously, that's a huge thing. But here's another secret that I got from my good friend Brian was when he does open houses. A lot of people do open houses 1 to 4, and that's great. That's kind of a timeline we see across the country. But what Brian would do is he would do 3 open houses on Saturday. He'd do 3 open houses on Sunday. I know our low supply market may not allow for that. But think about it. If you could do multiple open houses over the weekend, and I would say, Brian, how could you possibly do 3 open howses, in a day? How is that possible? He said, well, I'm not doing them 1 to 4. I'm doing them for an hour. And I said, well, how does that work? He said, well, what I figured out over the years is that if people are going to come to an open house, guess what? They're going to come when it's open. So if I do it 1 to 2, when do you think they come? They come between 1 and 2. If I'm going to do it 2 to 3, they're going to come between 2 and 3. So I just decided I'm going to start doing shorter open houses, but I'm going to do multiple opens over the week. So this is really brilliant because what happens, when you've done open houses for years, like I have, what you find is when people come to the open houses, the last 10 minutes, if you have one from 1 to 4, everybody surges in the last half hour. When I do it during that hour, I get more people in the house at the same time. I get more of an auction feel. I get more of a synergy of the market. Tons of people ready to come in and look at that house. So that's an advantage. Now, in our COVID environment, we may need to post something on the door that says, 1 couple in at a time. However, you're going to handle that situation. Masks required if you've not been vaccinated. Those are things you're going to need to think through. When you're scheduling and getting this going. But step 2, once you've chosen the house, is getting to market early. And this is important. So one of the very simple things we want to start doing is prepping the neighborhood that there's an open house coming. This is such a missed opportunity. This means you invest in a little rider and it says open house coming this Sunday from whatever time to whatever time. This might cost you $6 or $10 for that rider, but that's going to go up on a week before the open house actually starts. So we're going to have this marketing starting way early, right? We're also going to change the remarks in the MLS. And what I'm going to do, here's my ideal situation. If I could like write the script on how I want this to go down, let's assume that we take a listing on a Monday or Tuesday, right? And a lot of us might be like, okay, great. I'm going to put it right on the market. I'm going to put it on the market Tuesday night because I got the listing Tuesday. I want to get this sold. That's a mistake. And let me tell you why. Because what's going to happen is, in all likelihood, that house is going to sell within 24 hours in our market. And it's probably going to sell with multiple offers. And what you've done is you've robbed yourself and the seller of the opportunity to market it to more buyers and have more exposure. Here's my ideal situation. My ideal situation is I take a listing on a Tuesday and I say to the seller, listen, this is so fantastic. I'm excited. I'm going to let our office know that we got this listing. And here's what I'd like to do with your permission. What I'd like to do is launch your listing on Thursday into the market, Thursday at 5 o'clock. Why? That time is because we've studied thousands of sales across the country, and we've determined that sellers get more money for their house when they list Thursday at 5. Statistically, it's the best time and day to list the property. So if you, with your permission, we'll do that. Then I want to include, with your permission, in the MLS remarks of this statement. The statement's going to say that we're going to have this house open on Sunday. We'll pick the time, or Saturday or Friday. You pick the time, from this time to this time. We're not going to allow showings until Saturday and Sunday, and you can start scheduling your showings appointments then. And then, of course, the public's totally able to come in during the open house scheduled time. Now, what a lot of agents are doing, let me tell you what they're doing. They're doing this really strategically. They're having their open houses on Friday with a new listing from 4 to 6 p.m., and then they're saying showings to start Saturday and Sunday. Call for your scheduled appointment. Offers will be reviewed on Monday, and all offers will be responded to no later than Tuesday at 5 o'clock. Now, what are you doing with all this? This is a lot of psychology, a lot of marketing involved here. What we're doing is we're setting the stage that any buyer can view it from Friday at 4 to 6. This is for a brand new listing, Friday 4 to 6. We're only doing showing Saturday and Sunday, and we're reviewing offers on Monday. It's a sense of urgency. It's a sense that I better take action, and I'm going to drive a ton of buyers to my open house on Friday because they can publicly see it before the other showings on Saturday and Sunday. So my attendance is probably going to go through the roof. So that's a couple of things to think about when we're thinking about a brand new listing that we're going to do an open house on. Now, we can still do the open house on Sunday or Saturday, but Fridays at 4 to 6 is kind of a cool spot when you have a brand new listing. Other listings that have been on the market a bit, Sunday's completely fine or Saturday's completely fine. And of course, we're going to turn on our open house in the MLS system, meaning that in your MLS system, there'll be a place where we can say when the open house is occurring. Why is that important? Why do you care about that? Here's why you care, because that little widget that you turn on, that little date calendar that you turn on in MLS is going to now flow out. It's going to flow out to realtor.com. It's going to flow out to Zillow. It's going to throw out to your company website that open house is available coming up. So you're going to get a lot more attendance because of it. Step 3 is we're going to begin to market the property. We're going to begin to advertise. Now, of course, there's the usual suspects. Hopefully all of you are already doing this, but you're going to be advertising on Craigslist and Facebook Marketplace that you have a house coming open this weekend. That should be a given for all of you, that you're automatically doing that every time. But here's another thing to think about. A lot of us will do an ad on our personal Facebook page or Instagram page where we're going to say, hey, we have a house coming open this weekend, from whatever time to whatever time, which is fine and great. But remember who's seeing that. The only person who's seeing that particular ad is going to be your audience, right? The people that know, like, and trust you. And for most of us, our audiences are relatively small. Maybe we've got 500. If you're a big player, maybe you got 2,000 people. But of those 2,000 people, not everybody sees that ad. So it's a very small, tiny little slice of the market that's going to see your open house on your feed. So what you need to do is make this a public event. So on your Facebook business page, you go to the left side and you're going to see a list of things that you can do. One of them is to create an event. You're going to push the button, create an event, and you're going to create an open house for your upcoming open house. Why do I do that? Because that event is now publicly searchable, so that if anybody in the market on Facebook is looking for something to do that weekend, your now open house event is going to show up. So you're going to get a lot more eyeballs on that event. Now, when that event is created and I share pictures and I share the times and location and everything else, I now share that to my Facebook business page. And I also share it to my personal page. I send the link to my seller and I say, please share this as wide and as far as you can. Invite your friends to share this. I really want to get as many people as we can at this open house. So I'm encouraging sharing, right? So powerful. And then if you have a local newspaper, some of you may choose to do a newspaper ad. We do something called an open house extravaganza, where we all as a collective group come together, and during the summer months and spring months at my company, we come together on a certain day of the month and we say, hey, everybody, let's do an open house. In this case, April 25th. We did this last month. We've got another one coming up this Sunday, where we all collectively say together, hey, let's do this together. And then we all collectively spend some money together, and we do some advertising in the local newspaper to promote the open houses that we have open. And that creates some synergy in the market, because for our company, we'll have 50 or 60 open houses in the marketplace. The psychology of that is that when sellers are out there driving around, they're like, holy smokes, look at John L. Scott in my office, next door real estate, your office is everywhere. And that really creates a lot of synergy and energy around the open house. Now, I'll tell you, we've switched gears. Last year, pre-COVID, we would do what we call open house extravaganza, which was a big print publication that would go in the newspaper. What we found this year is, because of the speed of the market and the pace and the velocity of the market, is if we create a print marketing piece that we had to create 2 weeks ago to get in the paper this week, it's out of date because a lot of those listings are pending by that time. So what we're doing now is we've created a web page on our website. And so that is and we built a QR code around it. And we're just doing a little sticker on the outside of the paper. We're paying them for that. And it's going on the outside, and people can scan that for the latest open houses so that it's real-time relevant about what's still available for this particular weekend. And we found that to be very, very effective. Another thing we've done as a company is we've done a open house extravaganza Facebook page that highlights everybody's open houses. And of course, we're doing our own thing as individual agents, as I already outlined, but all of us coming together, we have a Facebook page for the company, which has been very effective as well. Step 4 is canvassing. This is where most agents never, ever touch this. They just are too lazy, frankly, to do this, or they have fear, or they don't know what to say, or they don't know what to do. And what happens is this is where the money is made, right? This is where you can actually pick up a lot of new listings. You can pick up a lot of new relationships. You can start working with people that have never met you, add them to your database. Remember, our business revolves around one thing. And a lot of people don't understand this. It revolves around you building a database of people that know, like, and trust you. The engine of your business, if I open up the engine under the hood of your business, and my first question would be, if I'm coaching you one-on-one, is how many people are in your sphere of influence? And if you don't know the answer to that, like it's 152, it's 293, it's 189, then I know you're not in control of your business. You're just kind of faking your business. You're just rolling the dice, hoping that you're going to create some business every day. But when agents know that number, it's 189, it's 232, now I know they're in control of their business and they know what runs their business. By the way, your business, I can predict almost with perfect accuracy what you will produce in the next 12 months when you tell me that number. I just had this happen yesterday with one of my coaching students. I said, how big is your database today? She said 153. I said, good job. You know the number. Now, let me tell you what you've been selling over the past 12 months. She says, well, how do you know that? I said, I know it because of your database size. As long as you've been contacting them, pretty regularly, and you've been doing a good job of that, you're probably averaging about one transaction a month. Am I right? And she said, you're absolutely right. I said, it's going to be between 12 and 15 transactions a year based on a 150 person database. How do I know that? Because it's a 10-to-1 ratio. For every 10 people in your database, you average one closed sale, assuming that you're staying in contact with them regularly. So the only way to grow your overall numbers is you got to have a bigger database of people. How do you grow that database? By canvassing, by doing this kind of marketing so that we drive new relationships into our database. That's what it's all about. So here's what's interesting about open houses in general. Still, with the internet, every other way we can market, 43% of buyers still attend an open house before they make a buying decision. 43% of buyers. Now, here's what's interesting. The attendees that attend your open house, when you interview them and you get in depth with it, like we do at my company, we find that 72% of people walking into your open house today are sellers in disguise. They haven't sold their home, but they're gearing up to do so. 72%, 7 out of 10 people walking through your open house. So this is why canvassing is so important. You got to drive traffic into that open house. When people tell me they didn't have anybody come to an open house, my first question is, did you canvass the neighborhood prior to? They'll always say no. I say, well, I guarantee you would have had some people come if you would have just canvassed the neighborhood. So what do? I'm going to talk to 20 people on either side of that house, and I'm going to offer them early entry for neighbors. By the way, some of my agents that are really on top of it, a lot of us use A boards when we are doing an open house, those kind of tent style boards. They'll drop a little insert into that A board where on the top, we call it a topper, that'll say early entry for neighbors. Open houses, let's say 1 to 3 or whatever your numbers are, 1 to 2. Early entry for neighbors. Neighbors can come in at noon. Whatever your numbers are, you figure it out, right? And then we're going to reach out to for sale by owners and expireds. I'm going to give you Brian's techniques on that. And then what we're going to do is we're also going to preview every active listing that's in the marketplace. So I'm going to call and make an appointment to go tour those properties. Here's the worst thing that can happen to you in an open house. Person walks in and says, as I was coming in, I drove by this other house that's listed. Have you been inside that one? And you say no. Do they think you're the expert in the market now? No, you've blown your trust. You've blown the ability to position yourself as a consultant and as the undisputed expert in the market. You always want to be able to say, you bet, I toured that on Monday. Beautiful house. Happy to show you that house as well. There's some differences between that house and this house, and you spell it out. That way you're positioning yourself as an expert. So let's look at some canvassing scripts now that go along with this. What do you say when you're out there talking to people? Now, I can canvass in one of two ways, by the way. I can call, and that's canvassing as well. Nothing wrong with calling. Or I can go physically to their doors. I'm telling you right now, with COVID beginning to end, people are okay with you coming to their door. You think they're not, but they are. As long as you step back from the door, a good 6 feet, so they know there's some social distance there. So this is my script. Hey, good morning. My name is Jim Remley. I'm with ABC Real Estate. You might have noticed your neighbors have their home listed down the street. I'm going to point to the listing. And they're going to say, oh, yeah, I've seen that. So, hey, listen, I want to let you know, in case you see some increased activity in the neighborhood and on the street this weekend, we're going to be doing an open house. And I'm also going to be doing something fun. I'm doing early entry for the neighbors before the open house starts. If you'd like to come by, I'd love to have you come over and take a tour. I know I'm always curious about my neighbors to see what their houses look like. And I just wondered if I could ask you a quick question now that I'm, out here talking to everybody in the neighborhood. Can I ask you a quick question? Now, this is all you're going to notice. It's all about the tone and the conversational approach. Am I sticking 1000% to the script? No, because I've memorized it over, decades of using it. As soon as I can, I want to make this conversational. So they say, sure. I'll say, hey, can I ask you, how long have you guys lived in the area or in the neighborhood? They say, oh, we've been here 5 or 6 years. Oh, great. I'm going to have a lot of people asking me about the neighborhood when I'm doing the open house. What do you guys like most about living here? And they'll say, oh, we like this, we like that. Oh, okay. Any complaints? Anything you don't like about living here? And let me ask you, I'm curious. I'm going to see if this applies to the people that are coming to my open house. Where'd you guys move from? And they'll say, whatever. I say, and I'm sure you looked at a lot of different areas in town. Why'd you choose this specific neighborhood? See, I'm in conversation now. We're just in conversation. And then the last thing is, I got another crazy question for you. We're in a crazy market right now. Would you guys consider selling for the right price if we gave you plenty of time to find your dream home? What are they going to say? You don't know unless you ask the question. They're probably going to say no, but maybe not. And I'm going to enter in that conversation. The statistics behind this are for every 1 out of 20 people that you talk to in this form or fashion, in a normal market, one person's going to say yes. In our current market, it's actually 1 out of 10 because there's a huge pent up supply chain. We haven't had a lot of sellers coming to market. So that means a lot of sellers are thinking about coming to market. So it used to be 1 in 20. Now it's 1 in 10. Every 10 people you talk to is going to have an interest in selling. Even if they don't voice it, in their minds, they have an interest in selling, which leads me to the next one. Before I leave there, even if they tell me they're not interested in selling, I'm going to say, hey, totally get it. Let me ask you this before I leave. Would you be curious to know what we sell that home for? I know I'd be curious because every time we sell a house in a neighborhood, it affects your value. And the reason is because the way appraisers look at homes, they look at what we call comparable sales. That's going to create a new comparable sale for you. Would you mind if I went ahead and sent you a copy of what it sells for when we get to closing? They say, yes, great. Let me grab your email address. And while I'm here, can I get your phone number? Now I'm adding them to my database because I'm giving them something they're going to be curious about, which is what the home eventually sells for. Right? These are the kinds of things that can enable you to start building a database. Remember, every single homeowner in every single subdivision in your community will sell their house in the next 1 to 10 years. The only question is, are you going to be in business, number one? And number two, who are they going to list it with? If you can start putting these people into your database and start incubating them over time, that can be your business, right? That can be somebody you begin to work with. Now let's switch gears to for sale by owners. Imagine I put a pin in a map where that open house is. Pin in a map where the open house is. And I draw a map around that open house. And let's say that map is 2 or 3 miles. Okay. You pick the number, whatever you think is reasonable, but within a reasonable distance of the open house. Now I'm going to call every for sale by owner and every expired listing in that area. This is the trick that Brian Belair's used to blow up his business and be the number 3 agent in Portland, Oregon, by using this technique along with the canvassing technique. So he would just call and say, hey, good morning. I noticed that you're marketing a home over at 123 Johnson Street. Hey, listen, my name is Jim Rimley. I'm with John L. Scott or ABC Real Estate. Hey, the reason for my call is I have a listing in your neighborhood that we're going to be doing an open house on this weekend. And I just wanted to invite you. We're doing early entry for neighbors. I know it's maybe not exactly like your home, but buyers are probably likely to look at this one and when they look at yours. So it's kind of fun to see the competition. And would you be open to come and buy, or would you like to come by? Again, in the conversation about that. Also, I have a quick question. If I run into a buyer at my open house that doesn't quite fit the home I'm holding open, I'm curious, would you allow me to come by and show your property at some point? And now this is an interesting opportunity because it's a back door into conversations with for sale by owners, because I'm not leading with trying to get their listing. I'm leading with an invitation to the open house, which is completely different, right? How can you say no to an invitation? I guess you can just not say you're going to come, but that's okay. But the warmness of that approach is so much different than what most people do when they're approaching a for sale by owner. If they give you a positive response, and my experience is 80% of the time with this script, they will give you a positive response. Now they may couch it and they may say, well, yeah, you could show it, but I'm not paying a fee. Or yeah, you can show it, but I'm only paying 1%. Or yeah, you can show it, but I don't care about the buts at this point. I'm just trying to create a relationship. So I'll say, hey, I totally respect that. I'm not asking you to pay a fee. I'm not asking for any commitments. Just wondering if you allow me to show it if I have a buyer that doesn't quite fit that other house. If they say yes, great. First step for me, if you don't mind, since I'm going to be in the area getting ready for this open house over the next few days, would you mind if I just stop by maybe today or tomorrow and just take a quick run through your house just so I know what I'm talking about? Would that be cool? Most people will say yes. Most people will be okay with it. Now, expired listing really quickly. Kind of a similar script where you say, hey, good morning. This is Jim Rumley over at ABC Real Estate. The reason for my call is I have a listing in your neighborhood and wanted to invite you to an open house I'm doing this weekend. Hey, we're doing early entry for neighbors, and it's the same script as a FSBO. It's always fun to see your neighbor's home. Also, quick question. I noticed that you had your home on the market back in whatever, June of last year, back in, April of last year. I got a question. Would you still be open to an offer from a qualified buyer? What I mean is if I have a buyer that doesn't quite fit the home I'm holding open, would you consider allowing me to show your home? And hopefully they give you, a positive response to that. Some will, some won't, and that's okay. It's all about relationships. Great. Again, first step for me to be able to do that, if you wouldn't mind, is for me to stop by and just take a quick run through your house and see what you have. So that's expired and FSBO marketing and kind of getting ready. Now, step 5, preparing the home for sale. This is a conversation with the sellers. Worst thing can happen to you when you arrive at an open house is that it's not prepped for the open house. So I would recommend to you that you start developing, if you haven't already done so, a pre-showing checklist or a showing checklist that you can deliver to the seller and say, hey, as we're preparing for this open house or really any showing, I thought I'd give you a quick checklist. This can help you to kind of prepare for this and get ready for it. And I found that to be very, very important and very effective with sellers. Step 6 is preparing yourself. Like, how are you prepared for this open house? Now, of course, you're going to have flyers of the property you're holding open, right? That's a given. But I also have flyers of other properties. I call them conversion properties. So here's an idea. When you are looking at the list of the house you have open, run an MLS report and look for 5 or 10 other properties that are somewhat similar in nature to the one you're holding open. That way, when a buyer walks in and they start looking around and the house doesn't quite fit their needs, you can say, I've got 5 or 10 other properties that might be a good fit for you if you're interested. And you can get into conversation about those properties. You can even show them the sheets and say, hey, if you want me to, I can email these to you. Now I'm capturing their email address, or I can text them to you if you like. Now I'm capturing their text address. Obviously, we'll probably have had our local lender, and I know you guys, I think, have an in-house lender there, might have prepared some financing sheets for you. A financing sheet will show the different ways somebody could finance the property: conventional, FHA, VA. Lenders are completely happy to provide this. And if we should start asking for that from them, like, hey, I'm doing an open house this weekend. Can you run me a financing sheet on this property? You give them the property address, the purchase price, and they can run these scenarios. And that's a great tool when you're talking to buyers. You should also have your listing presentation up on your laptop or your tablet device. Have it running in a loop. And hopefully all of you have an electronic listing presentation. Now, if you don't, good news, I already built it for you. So because you guys are a member of Nextdoor Real Estate, and because Eric is invested in this coaching program for you guys have access to a beautiful 17-page listing presentation, which you guys can all download by going to your Path portal and going to the listing presentation section. Download it, maybe customize it to you and your company, have that running, because remember, 7 out of 10 people coming to your open house are sellers in disguise. Sign-in sheet. Great idea to have a sign-in sheet. Here's a little tip with a sign-in sheet. A couple of things that you can do differently with sign-in sheets. First of all, always put a fake name in. It looks like a couple of people have signed in before your potential buyers sign in. Why do I do that? Because nobody wants to be the first one signing in. They want to be the second or third or fourth signing in. So put a few fake names in there. Another tool, another technique is to use a app for this. So again, maybe using a tablet. There's systems out there like Open House Pro, which you can buy for $10 or $15 a month. And it actually has a beautiful system, because when you say, hey, we're just asking everybody for security and safety reasons to sign in this morning, would you do that, please? And they if they're going to write something, they may write something fake. But if they walk up to a keyboard, a lot of times their muscle memory kicks in and they can't help but type in their real email and their real contact information. So often they'll just blast it all in. The beautiful thing about Open House Pro is it's got some follow-up drip campaigns that you can build in there, so it'll automatically start following up with these people and drop them into your database. So that's a couple of good things out there. Of course, if you're doing an open house extravaganza, or you know some of your friends at the company are doing other open houses, you can share, hey, we got some other open houses open this weekend too. If you want to go out and check these out, here's what they are. And then maybe think about feature cards throughout the house. These are where you feature different, really unique and interesting parts about the house. Could be marble cabinet, countertops. It could be the special kind of, refrigerator, whatever, that's in the house, different kinds of wood in the house that may not be obvious to someone. Now, when you get to the house, this is step 7. What do? First of all, you got to make sure the seller leaves. The seller cannot be present at an open house. The worst thing you can do is have a seller present. Here's how I explain that to them. I'll say, hey guys, and you hopefully had this conversation way in advance of this, but if they're still there, I'd say, hey, here's the thing about being present in an open house is buyers, what we're trying to get buyers to do is to build an emotional connection with the house and build a bond with the house. They're never going to do that with you guys here. And the reason is because they're going to always look at your house. They're not going to be able to not look at it as anything but your house because you're sitting in the house. With you gone, they can start to imagine themselves as the homeowner. And that's what we want them to do. But if you're here, it's going to be nearly impossible for them to do so. So it's really better if you leave. Park like an attendee. I don't park around the corner. I park like I'm one of the attendees, right in front of the house or right in the parking lot, so that they see other people are potentially there. And of course, again, like I said, we're signing in. I'm going to leave the door a little bit open. Now, be careful. Security reasons mean having good security means we want to check out our exits. We want to know our exits. We want to make sure that people know where we're at and what's happening. We have our phones fully charged in case of an emergency, but leaving the door a little bit ajar is more open and more friendly. If I have that shut and somebody's got to knock or somebody's got to, call out, it's a little bit not as friendly as if you have the door a little bit open. Open windows, turn on lights, turn on water features, turn on music, of course. Sometimes we'll have to do a little spruce up, set up your display, place your signage, and go live on social media. The last one here, number 10, is the most important. We need to go live and say, hey, I'm at I'm open house this weekend. Feel free to guys come by, check it out. Love to have you here. We're going to be open from 1 to 3. A lot of fun things. We're going to have a drawing as well. Whatever you want to talk about, walk them through, do a little mini tour of the house. Now, why is that so important? It's important even for the clients that you have in your sphere of influence that are not going to attend, because those people that are in your sphere, that are your audience on social, are going to see you're a busy, active, engaged agent, and they're much more likely to send you referrals if they know you're a busy, active, engaged agent. That's the reason we go with video. And it may pull a few people over, it's true, but more importantly, it shows that you're out in the marketplace making things happen and shaking things up. Now, showing the home, we want to use a low-key approach. We want to point out amenities. We want to ask questions, and we want to let people just kind of make their way through the house. But we also want to use a script. So using a script is so, so important. The reason why a lot of people cannot convert at an open house is because they don't know what to say. And because they don't know what to say, they just let people come and go, and they get nothing out of it. It's just a big waste of time. If you can't convert an open house, you should just not bother, because there's no reason to be doing it other than placating your seller. So what is the ultimate script? This is Dan Molahan, one of my top 1% agents in the country that I work with. This is his exact script. And this script will crush. You need to memorize it, get it in mind, right? And here's what he says. He says, hey, how you guys doing today? And he always has his shoulder to people when they come in. He's not facing them fully when they walk through the door. Always he's in motion. He's going over to fixing a flyer, making an adjustment on the display table, walking to the back of the house. Hey, how you guys doing? It's never an attack. It's never rushing in at people. It's always very low key, right? Now, during the introduction, you got to keep that conversation and interaction light and informal. Often it's helpful, as I said, to be doing something when the buyer arrives. So the buyer's going to say, yeah, fine, good, okay, great. Hey, quick question. Are you guys out enjoying the day, or just are you starting to look for a new home? Wow, I'm qualifying right out of the gate. Great. I'm glad you're here. You guys out enjoying the day, or are you out looking for a new home? Now, regardless of what they say, I'm going to watch their actions, right? Even if they say, hey, we're just out enjoying the day, just saw your sign. Great. If they start asking questions, I'm going to know that's not true. Most people that are attending an open house actually have a pretty high intent of wanting to do something. So I just say, great. Hey, my name is Jim Remley. Feel free to look around. If you have any questions, I'll be here. If you like, you can also point out a few things about the house and neighborhood that are pretty unique and special. Now, as you walk around the house, and remember, they're leading, you're not leading, they're leading you. You can ask some more questions to build rapport. And here's some questions you can ask. Hey, what caught your eye about the house? I'm always curious. Can I ask you what your housing situation is now? When they say that question is not a yes or a no question. Some people say, do you own a house now? They say no. End of conversation. I'm saying, what's your housing situation now? Open-ended question, completely different. And then you say, oh, great. Tell me about your home. Where do you live now? And they get into that conversation. Well, it's a 3-bedroom, 2-bath. Oh, so what are you looking to change about that? So you can kind of dive deeper. What are you looking for in your next home? What parts of the home are most important to you? You're probably going to recognize it before they say it, because they're going to naturally walk to the place that's most important to them. If they go to the kitchen, that's the most important. The guys go to the garage, that's the most important. They go straight to the master bedroom, that's the most important. They go straight to the backyard, that's the most important, right? That's where you're going to know it. Have you zeroed in on this neighborhood, or are you open to others? Have you looked at any other homes? These are great, just kind of open-ended questions, trying to get them to open up with you. And then I'm going to move into what I call curiosity questions. The reason why somebody stops at your open house is because they're curious. They're curious about what the house looks like inside. They're curious about, what the floor plan is. They're curious about the price. They're curious about things about that property. So curiosity questions are the key to opening up relationships. And this is true in so many different sales settings, but definitely here at an open house. So here's a curiosity question. Say, hey, I got a question for you guys. Would you guys be curious to know what the seller, why the seller priced the property at $459,000? The sellers have authorized me to provide a copy of the CMA they used as a guide to price the property to anyone that requests one. Would you guys like a copy of the CMA? That is almost irresistible. Now I have to get permission from the seller to give me that, right? The seller's got to say, yeah, you can give that out. But when you explain it to a seller, and here's how I explain it to the seller, I say, hey, now that we got the home on the market and you guys priced it right, would you mind if I shared our CMA with buyers and other agents? Because the number one question I get from buyers and other agents is, how'd you arrive at the price? And what I found is when I give them a copy of our CMA, we tend to get higher offers, even over full price offers, because they see we based it on, objective criteria. Are you okay with that? They say, yes, great. Now, when that buyer says, yeah, I'd like a copy of the CMA, great. Can I grab your email address or your phone number? And I'll shoot you a text with that link so you can check it out. Now I've captured their information, right? I've captured a piece of information. Another curiosity question is, hey, would you guys like to know what the utility costs are for this home? The sellers authorized me to share a copy of their past 12-month averages. I can email it to you or text it to you. And then another curiosity question that's almost irresistible for most people to want to know, even if they don't really have interest in the home. Sometimes they love to know the utility costs. Last question is, hey, one thing most buyers don't realize is that the best homes often don't make it to the market, especially in our current market. I make sure my buyers don't miss out on any opportunities. In fact, I've got a few homes in mind that might be a great fit for you if this one doesn't quite fit. Let me ask you, are you interested in knowing about any unlisted properties? That last script, are you guys interested in any unlisted properties, is irresistible to buyers today, because they know that inherently the market's basically sold out. When I ask them that question, they say, yes, great. Let me grab your contact information. I've got a few in mind that I think may be a great fit. Maybe we could go out and take a look at a few. Okay. And you've already done the research, and you've already got your 5 or 10 other properties that are similar to this property, right? And you've also been networking with other top agents in your office and the community. So you may be able to find some of these unlisted properties, these coming soon listings. But a little bit more on showing the home. As I mentioned, you want to let people, roam the house as a group. You want to point out the unobvious. So in the unobvious would be things in the walls. Like, you might not be aware of this, but this has actual copper plumbing. Pretty amazing. They just rewired the house a couple years ago. They've updated the panel, so it's all new. They've actually done some new insulation in the ceiling, so it's much more energy efficient. They put new windows in recently. Those are things that are unobvious, right? That you want to be pointing out. Sell the area. Of the 13 reasons why somebody buys a home, 9 of them are related to proximity. In other words, 9 of them are related to the neighborhood, not the home itself. So we want to be pointing out, hey, this is in one of the best school districts in the area. Hey, this is really close to shopping. This is really close to the city center. Also know the history of the home itself. All of us should be using NARRPR.com, NARRPR.com to do research on any home we're doing open. That way we'll know, what the seller paid for it, the last mortgage. And we, may not be disclosing that to the buyer, but we want to know the history. We just want to know what's been going on with this property. You're going to want to know what the seller paid for it last, all those things. What's happened with the appreciation rates in that neighborhood, all powerful information. Also allow them to take photos or videos with the seller's permission. People love to do that. Now, you also want to gain permission to follow up. This is critical because they may not want to work with you instantaneously, but over time, you're going to build that relationship up. This is where most agents fall apart. They meet somebody, but they fail to follow up. The fortune in real estate is in the follow-up. The fortune's in the follow-up. So 50% of all real estate leads are not followed up on. It's incredible. So here's some scripts for potentially following up. You can say, hey, another home was listed in the neighborhood this week or today. Would you like to see it? I can run over right after we're done with this open house if you like, and I can text you when the last person leaves. Would you like to check out the other house in the neighborhood? That's a great script, right? Another one is, hey, our office has a listing coming on the market in the next couple of days, and I think it sounds like what you might be looking for. Can I text you the address so you can do a drive-by when that listing comes online? They're going to say yes. Now I'm going to capture their phone number. Capture what it's all about. Or the next one is, hey, my company has an MLS matching service. It's an automated system that sends you listings as they hit the market. It's totally free. And then you can do a drive-by and see if you like something. And I'm always happy to show it to you when you find something you really love. Can I sign you up for that matching service? No cost, no obligation to work with me even. Would that be okay? Now I'm going to capture their information. Here's another pro level tip that I learned from one of my top agents. This is at the open house, always offer a digital business card. When I offer a digital business card, I am 6 times more likely to receive the phone number from the client than if I don't offer the digital business card. Because as soon as they say yes, in order for them to get the digital business card, I have to get their phone number so I can text it to them, right? And how do I create a digital business card? I can simply go to Canva, type in digital business card, and you can create one for virtually free. We should be doing that all the time anyway. And then we just store that JPEG image, which is just a picture image, on our phone. And that's something we can text to anybody that requests a copy of our digital business card. Super, super easy. And I highly, highly recommend that. A couple more permission scripts really quickly. A lot of buyers don't realize that many of the best listings don't hit the open market. They get sold before they hit MLS. If you're interested, I can set you up on my first look program. I now work with top agents in the community every day, and we talk about new listings that are coming to the market soon. I can keep you in mind if you'd like. That's a great script. And the last script is, would you like to know if we make any changes to this listing? This is a great one. Would you like to know if we make any changes to this listing, price adjustments, incentives, or if the listing goes pending? I can even let you know what it eventually sells for. Would you like to know that? People almost can't resist that last script. It's powerful, powerful. Then what I love to do is a survey technique. As they're beginning to leave the open house, I'll say, hey, last question. Would you mind participating in a 3-question text survey about the home? Your answers are pulled with all the other attendees. Seller never gets your contact information. They just want to know what the people are thinking that are coming through the house. Would you be cool with being a part of that text survey? They're going to say yes. Then I'm going to immediately, right after the last person leaves, I'm going to instantly send out the text survey. And here's what it's going to ask. It's going to ask 3 quick questions. Hey, what'd you think of the price? What'd you think of the neighborhood? What 2 areas can the seller improve on? That's it. And then from there, I can start to, go into some of that other scripting that we've talked about, offering them the MLS matching service, offering them some unlisted property, offer to show them another house in the neighborhood. A lot of ways we can do this. But the key with follow-up with open house attendees is it has to happen within the 24 hours or 72 hours after the open house. Remember this, if they're attending your open house, they're likely attending other people's open houses. And somebody is going to capture them as a buyer within the next 24 to 72 hours. Hopefully you did it at the open house, but it might take a little bit more time. So I want to have a follow-up strategy quickly after the open house. So here's 3 follow-up strategies really quickly. You could follow up by text and say, hey, we met at my open house yesterday. Wanted to be the first to know that based on the feedback we received, we're going to adjust the price. So if the seller's going to adjust the price, this is a great one to do. Won't happen in MLS for another 24 hours. If you'd like to take a second look, let me know. Also have a couple more listings that may be interesting. So that's a great script. Another one is, good morning. We met at the open house yesterday. New listing just hit the market today that I thought might be of interest. Boom. That's me looking at the hot sheet, finding something that might be of interest and shooting it over. Last one is, good morning. We met at my open house, just left my office meeting, and a new listing is coming live later this week that I thought might be of interest to you. Are you still looking for a home? Great scripts that all crush in the market. Step 9, building rapport and trust. Remember, to sell anything to anyone, they must they must like you first. So 90% of selling anything to anyone is 90% of it is them liking you. So remember to slow down, focus on the client before you attempt to go into qualifying mode. The worst thing you can do is start qualifying people instantly. Are you working with a lender? Are you working with another agent? Those kinds of questions will turn people off really fast. I'm just trying to get to know them as a human being first and foremost. I'm trying to connect with them as a human. And understand the signals. When I'm walking through the house with them, if they're nervous or they're asking about the price, they're asking about the seller, they're arranging furniture, or best yet, they're running the house down, there may be a good shot at you actually selling them that particular house because they may be excited and interested about this house. Now, you selling the house you're having open right now, statistically, when I say it's 1% to 5% of the time, that's in our traditional market over the last 30 years. I'm going to tell you something. Your chances of selling the house you're having open are dramatically higher today. Why are they dramatically higher today? Because there's less inventory and people are desperate for inventory. So you have actually a much, much greater chance of selling the house you have open. So really be watching for that energy shift and these kind of things happening where they're asking about the price, asking about the sellers, asking about motivation, all those things, running the house down are great indications that they're actually a potential buyer for the house that you're having open. Step 9 is offering more value, offering those pocket listings, as I talked about. Then if you find out, because you asked the question, what's your housing situation? They own a home now, is to say, oh, so let me ask you, obviously you may be thinking about making a move. One thing that I offer to everybody is a free home valuation. I call it my TMO, my total market overview. A lot of agents offer you a CMA. That's like the ham sandwich of real estate. Everybody's going to try to offer you that. I offer you a TMA, which is a TMO, which is a total market overview. It's a 360-degree look at the market, the kind of from a national scale down to a state scale, down to a local scale, down to a neighborhood scale, really in depth, free, no cost to you. If you'd like me to do that, I'm happy to do that. By the way, for those of you that haven't done a TMO yet, if you go over to the Path portal, we've outlined a whole step-by-step approach to creating your first TMO, and we provide you in a sample over there to check it out. Having statistics about the neighborhood, knowing about the vacant homes in the neighborhood are great. Also, having a drawing at the open house can be fun. We like to do a win a trip program at our office, but you could have a barbecue. You could have something fun at the open house as a drawing. And that drawing is where people have to fill out a form, again, a lead capture tool for you to do a little drawing at the end of the open house. You could also do that drawing live on social media, especially if you had a lot of attendees, and then pick that name out of the hat. Powerful, powerful tools that show your audience that you're doing some fun things and you're having fun with the whole process. Step 10 is the follow-up. So that's where you do the texting, as we talked about. Thank you, and a link back to the listing. You're emailing or texting people the survey questions we talked about. You're setting people up on some kind of property tracker system, whether it's through your MLS or through your office, where they're going to get notified about new listings that hit the market. If you get their physical address, great idea to write a handwritten card and do that discovery call or text with them within that 24 to 72 hour period where you're going to follow up with them in a big way. And if you got their names, here's the thing that's not on this list. What might be the most important is connect with them on social media. If you have met these people, had a good conversation, they wrote down their names, gave you their phone number and their email address, don't hesitate to reach out and connect on social media instantly. That's a big way that they can get to know you as a human being and as a person. So I'm going to send this link to Eric, so he'll have it, and it'll have this entire slideshow. So you'll have all these scripts available for you to check out. And it's also going to outline a step-by-step, day-by-day approach to really getting ready for your open house. I walk you through Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, right up to the open house. So you're really engaged and prepared to have a killer open house that you can crush with when you're doing your next open houses.